Welcome back, Nick Lenz Comic Corner, Classics / Non-Classics, episode number 1198, and Doubleshot number 1092. I got two Avenger trades. First up it is Avengers Prime. Yep. Now, this basically does contain 5-issue miniseries Avengers Prime. There was a slight problem with this series when it was originally announced. Oh yeah, the three founding members of the Avengers. That's actually a lie. Captain America is not a founding member of the Avengers. He is the first person to join the group after the first form. Now, Iron Man and Thor, yes, these two are founding members. But apparently, somebody at Marvel has begun to promote that these three were the founders of the Avengers. 2 out of 3. Not Cap. Cap was not. The other members were Hulk, Ant-Man, and the Wasp. Apparently, Marvel half the time forgets that for some strange reason. Marvel readers, on the other hand, do not forget that little factoid. It just the people at Marvel love to do that. Now, what's the whole point of this miniseries? This miniseries mostly fills in the gap between Siege number 4 and Avengers number 1. Or Volume 4 number 1, despite the fact that this miniseries was launched when the first issue of Avengers came out. Yep, though the full title of this miniseries, you could say it's Siege Aftermath Avengers Prime. Yep. Yeah, that's the full title of this miniseries. Siege Aftermath Avengers Prime. That's what it says on the inside cover. Yeah, it says right there on the inside cover. Siege Aftermath Prime. Avengers Prime. This is simply put a miniseries that kind of was necessary to tell. This is written by Brian Michael Bendis and art by Alan Davis. Mostly put for this miniseries, it just focuses on these three characters. The Avengers not reformed just yet. Basically, they get some stuff out of the way before they start the Avengers tale, like the fact that, Cap and Steve and Iron Man, Steve Rogers at this point is not Captain America, it's actually Bucky Barnes. Yeah, that's why he's wearing the black t-shirt. Yeah, he actually had to give up the role of Captain America, and he's now basically Commander Steven Rogers, so this is slightly before he assumed that role. And him and Iron Man, they basically get everything on the table. They left everything off their chest. The fact that, brings the whole thing about Civil War, and the fact that a lot of the stuff that happened in the Marvel Universe is technically his fault, which is also kind of true. Though in the case of Thor, now this is during a period of time when Thor was the Lord of Asgard. He kind of was, though he had to briefly give the title to Bold the Brave, though somehow he got back the title, though he had to give the title to his father, who was resurrected in an arc that came not long after Siege. Yeah, it was actually just before Matt Fraction took over the book for Thor. So they go on an adventure to another world. Now Thor, they all get separated. Thor runs into the Enchantress. Yes, the Enchantress. Now at the time the Enchantress opened this book, she had not been seen in years. Was she one of the people that Thor brought back when he was bringing back Asgard? No, she wasn't. This is technically the first time she's been seen since the Thor run ended back in 2004. Yes. Iron Man ended up with a bunch of looks like I'd say some kind of other creatures. Thor, and of course Cap, he ends up with a smoking hot dark elf who he sleeps with, and it's very implied he falls in love with her, though she doesn't really appear again in this miniseries. And then of course Thor and Iron Man wait, don't you already have a girlfriend back on Earth? Yeah. Though during the course of this miniseries, they also run into Hela. Awesome, run into her. Yeah, she's another character that appeared in quite some time at the time this book came out. They also find the Twilight Sword. Yes, an object that belonged to that when Thor finds it. Actually, it was Iron Man who found it. And Cap found himself a shield, so he left the shield behind. And basically, when they get back to Earth, Thor gives the sword to Heimdall. Yes, apparently the Twilight Sword is a sword that has been lost for some time, and Thor helped find it. Oh yeah, and also Thor is and they also mentioned that Asgard is a wreck, and Iron Man volunteers to help rebuild Asgard. That comes into play later with Asgardia, which is kind of still in effect I don't think it is still in effect every day, but This overall really good miniseries. Now, I did see a review of this via Comic Issues. There was mentioned some continuity issues in here. I didn't see much of continuity issues. It's mostly just a good fill-in-the-gap miniseries. And just a quick little adventure for them. Yeah, it's always great to see stuff like this. I kind of wish they did another miniseries like this, focusing on these three characters. But if Marvel does do this again, please, for the love of God, don't refer to these three as the founding members of the Avengers. Because this guy is not a founding member. These two are. He isn't. Yes, the readers know he is not a founding member of the Avengers. But apparently Marvel keeps promoting that little factoid, probably because he's been part of Avengers for such a long time. I give this book roughly a 10 out of 10. It's a really damn good miniseries. It's a fun series from Bendis and Alan Davis. Alright, moving on to Secret Avengers by Remender Volume 2. This contains issues 26 to 32 of Secret Avengers. The first 3 issues is AVX tie-in. And I've technically reviewed this, but I've got to say this. Oh boy, the artwork for these 3 issues. Now, the cover art is fantastic. Love the cover art for here. When you open up the issue, you're like, what the heck is this? Yes, this is the artwork for this issue. For these 3 issues. This artwork is so bad. And luckily enough, this artist only stayed for these 3 issues. Thank God. This artwork was atrociously bad. This is done by Renito Goddess. I have nothing against the person personally. My gosh. This guy does not need to be drawing Avenger comics. The artwork looks so terrible. I don't want to say, I've already technically, even though I've technically reviewed these issues, but I did want to discuss I did want to bring that up. Now, in the case of 2932, that has much better artwork from Mato Sororia, I think I'd say pronounce it. Yeah, this guy's artwork is a heck of a lot better. Yes, though the best thing you can say about these 3 issues for 26-28, it's basically a loose backdoor pilot to Carol Danvers becoming Captain Marvel. Yep, this is simply like a return. This is much better artwork. Yeah, the next 4 issues is simply put this. It's basically the Secret Avengers versus a new incarnation of the Masters of Evil, led by Max Fury. Now, this is a humongous group. Oh my God. They apparently assembled a whole boatload of people for this book. For this group. Yes, this is by far the largest incarnation of the group to date. And it's comprised of, let's see, you have Luscious. I don't remember who this woman is. Killer Strike. Crossfire. Constrictor. Whiplash, the one that's based on one from the Iron Man 2. The Grimm Brothers. Basically a whole boatload of people. Yeah, led by Max Fury. He's an LMD who's got the memories of the actual Nick Fury. And there's a subplot in here of, well, something that I've been building since Rick Mendes came on the book. The fact that Flash Thompson, I think, for frequently hitting on Valkyrie. Though, that does go forward in this book. Yep. And they basically also deal with the whole thing with that Max Fury gets his hands on the crown of on two big crowns, who basically, yeah, it's kind of like Booker Mender basically did the whole thing with Max Fury as to sort of in the way tie up a loose end from Brubaker's run with the Shadow Council, because the Shadow Council, they weren't exactly fully explored during Brubaker's run. Aside from the fact they had 2 agents, basically John Steele and Max Fury, aside from these 2 characters, there was technically no other people. As for who was in charge of the Shadow Council, well, the book never explained that. It's just a random group just a big mysterious group that Brubaker introduced during the start of this series that was quickly dropped by the time he left. And my guess is Rick Remender probably felt as though he had to do something with the Shadow Council, because that was something that Brubaker established when the series started, and he probably knew that the series, that his run was going to be ending pretty soon. So I figured, though, why not basically do that? And I love the fact you guys have the Secret Avengers versus the Masters of Evil. and the fact that they're based up Bayaga. Now, this whole thing of them being based in this country, that actually be a factor for the group for the next few years, up until Avengers Undercover. Because here's the thing about this country. It's a country where crime is legal. Yes, the crime is legal. The rule of the country is, well, at one point it was Baron Zemo, with Taskmaster as the sheriff of the place. Yes. And it's an overall really fun miniseries. And, of course, Eric O'Grady, who was Ant-Man. Now, Black Widow was suspicious of him throughout the storyline. And, of course, well, she proved to be right because he later became Black Ant. Yeah, it turns out that Eric Grady, who appeared in this storyline, was in fact a robot. Yep, he got replaced. The real Eric Grady died at the start during the first arc of this run. And pretty much the whole point of him, like him revealing he's Black Ant, that's mostly a loose follow-up to the first arc and dealing with something that will basically be continued in the next arc of the series, where the Secret Avengers fight a bunch of robots. The Reminders, I think they're called. Of course, at the end of the story arc, Black Widow quits the team, though she does come back a little bit later. And as in the case of Flash Thompson and Valkyrie, yeah, Valkyrie comes to him when he's not in uniform, wears a shirt, and, well, they don't really much say anything. They just make out and then they have sex. Yep, Flash Thompson has sex with Valkyrie. Thus, basically start a relationship between the two that would be ignored by every other writer of Marvel Comics for some strange reason. I have no idea why. Good book. I don't like the artwork for the AVX tie-in, but great stuff. Give this book a 9 out of 10. Really good. Like I said, with the case of the relationship between the Flash, Thompson, Venom, and Valkyrie, it seems as though as soon as this run wraps up, apparently no one mentions this relationship. Yes, because as soon as this series wrapped up, Flash Thompson got moved over to Thunderbolts, which he left before. He left, I think it was just prior to Charles Shaw wrapping up his run for the book. And the thing is, his relationship with Valkyrie is only brought up in one book after he wrapped up this run. And that was in Venom Space Knight. Yes, that's where it was brought up in that series. But with this book, basically, that's second to last trade they collect issues, well, not only from Remender's run, but also of the first volume for the series. There's technically 2 trades left. There's third volume for this, and there is also the second trade that collects issues from Volume 2, which I have not reviewed yet. I will eventually get those, but I'm glad I got these 2 trades because it kind of, well, in the case of Avengers Prime, it gets me very closer and closer to finishing up Bendis' time with the Avenger comic books. Yep. But in the case of Secret Avengers, I love the series. That's why I get the trades for it. Yes. So, that's it for this particular review. My next review will be a review for Boruto. Yep. See you next video. Bye.